All right, the Berlin Wall. Okay. Stop it. When was the Berlin Wall constructed? Berlin Wall. So here's West Germany. And in the beginning, this would have been divided into threes. So here, here, and here. But they kind of unified. And they were democratic and leaned capitalist. Then East Germany was under Soviet control, so pushing communism. And then interestingly, we've got Berlin over here, which was also split. So you can kind of see the issue here too of how people had to go from here if they wanted to go to Berlin, had to go over and come over here into this essentially East German territory. All right, so background. After the Second World War, the Allies divided Berlin between themselves. The USSR got East Berlin, and the Americans, British, and French got West Berlin. There was a border between the two halves, but no wall. So you've got... So this is Berlin specifically in here. So you see it in here, right? This is kind of zoomed in. And so French, British, American, and this is going to unify. Khrushchev's Little Fence. Early in the morning of the 13th of August 1961, Soviet workmen arrived at the border with wood and barbed wire fencing. By the end of the day, the city was split by the fence that they had constructed, and border guards had orders to shoot anyone who tried to cross without a permit. So, 13th of August, 1961. Oh, God. Okay. Oh, we're looking at the wall, not the fence. Okay. So this was the fence. Wait, was it this one? Probably this one. And this is the tower, so they would have had somebody stationed there ready to shoot. All right. Less than 9 months later, Khrushchev's little fence had turned into a concrete wall with watchtowers, machine gun posts, and even minefields. No one is completely sure why Khrushchev built the Berlin Wall, but two likely possibilities are that he wanted to stop East Berliners from leaving East Berlin and wanted to prevent the capitalists who controlled West Berlin from interfering in East Berlin's business. All right. And so here you can see the wall and wire above it. And some security people over here. All right, so 9 months after this one, right? Yes, 9 months after August 1961. So, okay. Why did Khrushchev build the wall? He wanted to stop East Berlin. I keep saying, like, I can say Berlin in English, but every time I see it in this, I say Berliners. From leaving, and he wanted to stop the capitalists from interfering. Which, this is the one. He wanted to stop capitalists from interfering with East Berlin. He liked the look of the wall. He wanted to stop East Berliners from leaving East Berlin. So basically, this one is both. All right. What was the initial reaction from the East Berliners to the Berlin Wall? The reaction of the Berliners. Many East Berliners panicked and tried to get into West Berlin. Within just a week, one man died from trying to jump over the wall from an upper story window. The West Berliners thought the Soviet Union wanted to start a fight. Khrushchev had already told the Americans to get out of Berlin or to expect war. The West Berliners held a huge rally on the 17th of August, calling on American President John F. Kennedy to keep his troops in Berlin. Kennedy sent an extra 1,500 troops in response. So they panicked. All right. President Kennedy did not send more troops to Berlin. That is false. Khrushchev would have preferred war than having the Berlin Wall. Here you can see, and I guess this is the start of it because it was bigger for sure. So they had friends on the other side, family on the other side, so they're probably holding up the children so that people on the other side can see. Right, war. Things got tensest on the 27th October 1961 when Soviet and American tanks pulled up on their respective sides of the Berlin Wall. Everyone expected shots to be fired at any second, but none were, and the tanks eventually backed down. A tense stalemate ensued. As Khrushchev said, it's the wall, not a very nice solution, but a wall is a heck of a lot better than war. Then having so false. Communism in Eastern Europe and the USSR came to an end in the year. All right. So here, you've got these guys facing off. So tanks on each side. And they're thinking, I guess, battle might start any minute. The wall comes tumbling down. Due to a series of events in 1989, the communism in Eastern Europe and the USSR came to an end. One of those events occurred in November when thousands of East Germans marched on the Berlin Wall and started smashing it with sledgehammers. Erich Honecker, East Germany's leader, ordered the border guards to shoot the protesters, but the guards refused. So what actually happened here was there was like a reporter who, I think it was a reporter, who said something about somebody taking down the wall or something about the war being over. And basically, when they marched on the wall, they thought that it was already coming down, so they were helping out, essentially. And so the East Berlin soldiers were told, hey, shoot them, and they were like, nah, not doing that. Not shooting other Germans, not happening. So they basically just let it happen. This side that has all of this graffiti, that is the west side. So these guys are on the east side. All right. Wait, what year was it? So 1989. All right. According to the video, the Berlin Wall encapsulated blank Berlin.
November 9th, 2015 marked 26 years since the fall of the Berlin Wall. It represented not only a physical barrier for the people of Germany, but an ideological divide that split the world in two. Now, what many people don't know about the Berlin Wall is that it didn't run along the border between East and West Germany. Actually, it only encapsulated West Berlin, which was located deep in the heart of East Germany. So what we
According to the video, the wall was built to keep the people from East Berlin from defecting to the West.
We wanted to know, why was the Berlin Wall built in the first place, and how did West Berlin end up as a political island? Well, to put some of this in perspective, it's important to note the state of Germany just after World War II. The Germans lost the war, ceding the former Nazi power to the victorious Allies. The US, the UK, France, and the USSR carved up Germany. Now, the easternmost portion, running along what was called the Oder-Neisse line, was allocated to Poland to make up for land lost during the war. The rest of the country was split into 4 zones. The Soviet Union took over the zone to the east. The US, the UK, and France occupied their own zones in the western half of the country. And this just left Berlin. Now, technically Berlin was in the Soviet Union's territory, but since Berlin was the capital of Germany, as well as the former home of the Nazi regime, it held significant historical and political value. So, to keep things fair, Berlin was carved up into 4 zones mirroring the rest of Germany. Now, this arrangement worked briefly. But soon, the USSR began planning to take over the rest of Berlin, then Germany, and then Europe. At the time, the USSR was making a big push to expand socialism throughout its territories, including East Germany. So to accomplish this, the Soviet Union started restricting access to West Berlin, creating one of the first flashpoints of the Cold War, known as the Berlin Blockade. And things only got worse from there. The USSR began restricting emigration from their half of Germany. They built a massive wall known as the Inner German Border running down the middle of the country with barbed wire, alarms, mines, and thousands of East German soldiers. Now, by many accounts, life in socialist East Germany was pretty abysmal, particularly...
Alright, hang on. Keep people from defecting. This is gonna be true. According to the video, the Berlin Wall came down in 1984.
Compared to the democratic and prospering West Germany. Thousands of East Germans defected using a direct subway line between West Berlin and West Germany to bypass that closed border. Now, to put an end to this, the Soviets erected the Berlin Wall in 1961, and it ran nearly 100 miles long. It completely surrounded West Berlin, which may seem counterintuitive because you'd think they'd create a border to protect their own territory. But actually, this wall was to keep their citizens from defecting to the West. The wall would stay in place for nearly 3 decades. And even though this wall was much smaller and less elaborate than the Inner German border, the Berlin Wall came to symbolize the conflict between socialist and democratic nations. In 1989, the Berlin Wall came down, marking an end to the USSR's stronghold on East Germany. Now, if you want to learn about what actually brought...
Alright. No, it's false. 1989 is when it came down, so number 9 is false. I might show a video at some point that goes over why it fell. So, because I kind of went over it, but I've really forgotten the exact story. So we'll probably look at a video at some point next week.